Hello?
Hi, Joe.
Hi, how's it going?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. When I found out that you guys are going to be putting out an EP this year, I got very excited. And being able to receive the. You guys sound as strong as ever this time around. Being able to hear Candlemass in 2016, it's always cool.
Yeah, well, we don't change the recipe if the soup tastes good, you know.
So, what went into making the new EP?
Actually, we were thinking about our fans and all that, and we want to celebrate our 30 years anniversary and all that. So we figured, and Leif was in good spirit and had I have some songs and well, just we go down to the studio and try it out, and we noticed that okay, this will surely work because it's in the same genre as the you can taste the Candlemass feeling in all the songs, and so we were saying we knew that. From the beginning, when you hear the demo, things change all the way through the recording. I mean, you change the speed and maybe a chord here and there, but in the end, when they've been producing it and mastering it turned out really, really well. I think.
Well, I'm glad to hear that too. I mean, of course, with the lineup changes and everything, just being able to see the new music and just having it stay this strong. I mean, did it just come natural to be able to write these songs this time around, or was there effort that came along with it, or how did that go?
No, I think we got some new spirit in the band because Mats came in as a new vocalist, an old time friend, and we also had Per, the keyboard player from Opeth, and he also put an extra salt and pepper to the music. And now when Leif has been ill for a while and have this fatigue syndrome, Per has been doing the bass work. So we skipped the keyboards on the EP and sort of went back to the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s when we made like Ancient Dreams and Tales of Creation, where it also were a few keyboards but never used live, you know. So it became a little heavier because of that, and we wanted to keep the flag up, even though Leif has been too ill to do live gigs. We were all came to that conclusion that would be the best for everybody. And as soon as if he feels well, he can jump into what gig he ever want to. So it's not that he's excluded or anything. It's just like, if you're okay, you can come on this one, or you just leave it there. And his doctor has told him that he should actually be trying to rest this year as well. So then we figured we do the EP without the keyboards, so we will be able to use some of the songs live during the 30 years anniversary gigs.
And when it comes to doing those 30th anniversary shows, what went into mind into making the set list for these shows?
Oh, I mean, we have so many songs to choose from now, and since Mats is such a great vocalist, we can take songs from Epicus all the way up to Death I Love Her now. So, I mean, he can sing all the kind of different styles that Johan Landqvist or Messiah or Thomas Wikström or Rob Lowe. I mean, he can be in that genre but still being Mats. So he has no problem with whatever song we choose to put in the set list. And if it comes to a 30th anniversary, well, then we try to put out a list that gives like a best of the set list, you know.
So, what songs are you most excited to play for the 30th anniversary shows?
Actually, an old song from Ancient Dreams that came out really well live is the old thing called Cry from the Crypt, which has a really heavy rhythm bass. The chords in the verse is very heavy, and you can really see if you go like 2-3 seconds into the song, you can see the heads start going in the audience immediately, and then you know you're on the right spot, you know.
Oh, that is so cool. And how long are the 30th anniversary shows going to be as far as the set list goes?
Well, it all depends on the promoters and all that. We do everything from 1 hour 10 minutes to 1:45, 1:50. It all depends on how big slots that are open for us, and so I mean we just try to give the audience the best, and not playing the maybe some songs they just want to hear. You cannot probably do a gig with Candlemass without doing Solitude or something like that. But when it comes to the other, we can choose a little. And then we notice the reflection on the people. Okay, that one didn't go so well. Now we put in that one instead. Okay, so we put in Gallows End now. Okay, da 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 da. And then, oh, that worked well. Then we keep it for 3 or 4 gigs and see what happens. So that's how it goes, really.
Well, it's definitely a good way to go about it. And I'm glad to see that there are songs available to be able to switch out too, because every night there might be something a little different depending on the show. But being able to see that there is so many songs that are available to play over these past 30 years, it's great to see that you guys are going to be playing throughout the entire discography.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing songs from Kings of the Grey Island. We're doing from the White Album. We're doing. We try to put the set list together so it's like an even flow. We usually start out with playing 4 songs in a row without cutting it. You know, you just go. We used to cut Bewitch after the guitar solo, then we start immediately with the next song, so that people won't be able to breathe until like after 30 minutes. And then when we stop, then we tune our guitars, and then we do like the rest of the songs with some talking between the songs and all that. But then it comes like a shock. We just like a freight train. You go like maybe 30 minutes of 4 Doom songs in just one row. So that'll keep them for a while.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to do it. I mean, it does have that good ebb and flow, and almost like a roller coaster kind of effect, where with the highs and the lows, the faster, the slower, just a really good feel to be able to go through the entire 30 years of the band.
Yeah, well, we're just trying to do our very best to please our fans, because we noticed that they're still there, they like us, and we have, since we did this new lineup 2012 with Mats and all that, we gained even better live reviews, which actually was one of the reasons also why we figured, well, now it works out so well, why can't we do some kind of recording in the studio? And then we came up with this, well, we can use it as a 30 years anniversary thing, and we do an EP, since Leif has been in good spirit of songwriting and all that. So that's kind of the whole vibe of the whole thing.
Was there anything that was written during the time of the EP that didn't make it on to the EP?
No, actually don't. We do like this because Leif is in his vault, and he's making all these riffs and stuff, and then he goes to a friend of his that is a guitar player in Avatarium, and he has a little studio, and they do a little demo together, and then we sit down and we check it out, and there is never anything that he hasn't thought about. You know, Leif doesn't write songs to fill a gap, you know what I mean? If he's not satisfied with the riffs or how it comes out, then he goes immediately, no, we just skip that, he says immediately, and then he comes back the next day, and then he has been twisting it around a little so it sounds more interesting or anything. So it's like we use the material that comes, maybe with small changes during the recording, as it always turns out in the studio. So there was nothing left out, really. So
how does it feel being able to play the new songs off the EP compared to doing the standards like Bewitched or In Solitude?
No, I mean, if you were thinking of putting in one or maybe 2 of the songs, we will try them out during the autumn here now. We will put in one song and then check out how the audience will react to it. But we try to always put songs in a certain spot. For example, you don't start a gig with a new song, because it's not sure that everybody has got the feel to it. So you got to warm them up first, and then somewhere in the middle or something, you can introduce and say, and now from the new EP we will blah 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 blah, and then we go with a new song, and then we check out, as with the other songs, if it works out well. If it doesn't, we take another song from the EP and put in there in the middle somewhere. I think it's a smart move. Yeah,
it's a great way to do it, because I know there's some bands that do a tour that's specifically a new album before, and sometimes even before the fans have a chance to even check out the new material. But I've always felt like when a band puts out a new album that they should warm them up, just like you said, being able to play the songs that they're familiar with and then open them to the idea of new music if they're not necessarily familiar with it yet.
Exactly. That's one of the things that many bands do. Really, they put out a new album and they go on a hysterical tour of some reason, and then they just play songs from the new album and put some maybe 2 or 3 hits in the end that people recognize. And we noticed that since before that, sometimes it doesn't work out so well. So people always want to hear songs they can remember and recall to, and a new album always need that little time to melt into the brain and the ears to people. So if you put in one song here, one song there, if you have a full length album, you can sort of add a little bit, so you see how it works. And then but mostly people want to play all the new songs, and maybe for some it works, but I think this is a good recipe for us.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like you guys are doing it in a great way. And of course, with these 30th anniversary shows, I mean, there's no shortage of good songs that you guys have to choose from, being able to span the entire career. So, with this in mind, with doing the 30th anniversary shows, is there any plans of doing anything after these shows?
Well, we're doing like. I mean, if you're doing smaller club gigs or something, which not, I think, gonna happen this year. We're just doing a little fewer gigs, but bigger gigs, kind of. I mean, Psycho Las Vegas definitely gonna be something special and extremely loud. And then we do Loud Park in Tokyo, and then we do other festivals like in Belgium and a big one here in Sweden and in Poland. I mean, there's also one thing you have to consider. Actually, the promoter, how big slot do we get? If it is late in the evening and more than 1.5 hour, okay, and they have put up with maybe a little bit more cash, we can do something extra. It doesn't mean that we do just average gigs because they are less paid or anything like that. But we have to consider that if they want something extra, then we give them something extra.
Yeah, that is a great way to do it too. I mean, it's not as active as doing full-scale tours, but being able to do those one-off festivals and being able to do a very proper show, that is a great way to do it, and I know the fans are happy about that.
Yeah, we have noticed that the exclusivity of doing fewer gigs actually makes the band sometimes a little bit more interesting, because, I mean, in my opinion, being 3 months on the road, you don't feel all that inspired after 2.5 months. It's hard to be on the edge, if I put it like that way. But now they come and see the band, and we're all pepped and want to do something we really enjoy, because we've been longing for doing it, been waiting like 3 weeks to go there or something. Then they see that the band is having fun and really doing everything, instead of being totally word out after gig number 354 or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is when you're promoting your band, whether it's the new album or something like the 30th anniversary shows or something like that, you want to be able to stay inspired like that. And if that just means doing some bigger shows, whether they be festivals or one-off appearances, I mean, that's a great way to do it, and it makes for a better show that way too, because everyone will feel inspired.
Yeah, I think it's been working out well, really well. We did actually a smaller South American tour now in April, where we did like 7 gigs in 8 days or something, and that was great fun and something to remember. And we've been there before, so we know how it works. But I mean, then we were in different countries all the time. Every day was a different country, so we didn't we flew with airplane through every gig, so we didn't tour with a bus, because then the cities were really far from each other, so there was no risk that it would be the same people the next day. You know what I mean?
So how does that feel, being able to? I mean, what would you prefer more? I mean, being able to do like a short trek like the South American tour, or being able to do the one-off appearances?
Actually, we're trying this year. It became a mix of them both. I mean, since 3 of us have ordinary daytime jobs, we have to consider all things to make it work. And I mean, family and stuff, we always put those things in the first row, and we just want to do the gigs so it works out for everybody in the band. So sometimes we always bring the families and all that, so sometimes we can be like 20 people when we come there. and all that, so it becomes more like a family feast. So it'd be something to remember when you get older, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool being able to see that this year, being able to do the short treks and the one-off festivals. That way, pretty much every continent that would be able to have you guys this year at least has some kind of opportunity to be able to see you.
Yeah, I remember when we were in Maryland, Death Fest, that was an unbelievable cool gig. And that was just a fly-in. I mean, we just flew in, and me and my wife stayed in New York for a week, and then we went back. So it was a combination of a hell of a gig and a great vacation.
Yeah, that's definitely the best kind of vacations, being able to do a great one-off show with your band and then being able to just relax in one of the biggest cities in the world after.
Yeah, that's how we try to do it. I mean, for example, when we go to Loud Park, Tokyo, we will stay there for a couple of days so we can get rid of the jet lag and have some vacation at the same time. So then it becomes more like the gig is not a work. The gig is for fun and meeting the fans and meeting the audience and showing them still the old boys can play.
Yeah, and that's one of the downsides having to do longer treks with touring is, especially in North America, some of the bigger cities are so spread out, sometimes between 8 to 12 hours apart, if not longer. So that takes a lot out of you, being able to be on the road that long and not being able to enjoy the ride between shows. But when you get to do these one-off appearances like Maryland Death Fest or Loud Park, being able to just relax for a few days before or after and doing a great show, you're feeling inspired, and then the crowds will be able to enjoy it that much more.
Yeah, I think so, because then again they'll see that you're on the edge. I mean, it's not a tired musician that comes out on the stage and doing his thing. You know, now you can see we're all pepped, and we look at each other, and they can see we're laughing, we're having a good time, and they all get into it, so it gets a really good atmosphere.
Yeah, and those will always make for the best shows, because it is always sad when you go to see a band and they're about 3/4 done with the way of the tour, and it hasn't exactly gone right, and there was problems loading in the gear, and sound check didn't go right, and all of these things that make for a musician to not enjoy the show as much as it should, as compared to these festivals where everything is supposed to be run as prim and proper as possible and make just everything enjoyable for everyone around, because that's the whole point of the festivals, being able to see all of these bands that you enjoy in one spot and being able to see them play the best that they can.
Yeah, and we've been around for so long now, so we can actually we can delve with problems that the audience won't even notice. I mean, we played in Norway 2 weeks ago, and 90% of our gear was stuck in Copenhagen. So the bass player and the rhythm guitarist didn't have any guitars. I was the only one, because I had the gig bag on my back. And I mean, okay, now what would we do? And I mean, the backdrop was gone, the pedals and the cables, everything was gone. It was left like 2,000 kilometers from there. Then, okay, we rented another guitar, another bass, and we did a great gig. And the audience didn't notice the difference. So it was, what do you say, the project went ashore anyway. So, I mean, if things fucks up, you shouldn't be, the audience should not be able to notice it. We just tried to do it. I mean, we played Wacken once and was terribly late. We had 10 minutes. We came with cabs. And it was 10 minutes before we were supposed to be on stage, and we came with cabs. I mean, we were changing our clothes behind the back line, and then just came out and did the gig. The audience didn't know that, but it was a great gig. So, I mean, you have to keep it cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you do learn over time. Sometimes a newer band doesn't necessarily know that, and they do wear their emotions on their sleeve if something went wrong. But I mean, just like you said, with how long that you've been together, being able to work properly and make sure that the fans that are coming to see you that night don't see the problems that happen off the stage and before the show, and just have them being able to experience a great show. You guys are doing it right.
Yeah, I mean, they paid for the ticket. They don't want to hear about my problems. They want to get smashed with volume and guitars.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like you guys are doing that right now. I mean, with all these great appearances, including Psycho Las Vegas, which I know that's going to be a fantastic show here for North America. I know it's going to be going over quite well. The people I've talked to who have been able to hear the single off of Death I Lover really love what they've heard so far, so I imagine it's going to be a great show.
Yeah, we'll try to do our very best.
So, with all the work that's been going on with Candlemass, have you had any time to be able to enjoy any new music lately?
Actually not. I mean, I listen to a lot of music in the car when I drive around during the daytime. So, but then it turns out to be the classical ones. I listen to everything from James Gang to Pantera to Derek Trucks, whatever. It depends on how fast I'm driving.
It's a very eclectic taste. I like being able to see that diversity, and I like hearing that being able to listen to just music that makes you happy, and again, like when you're driving, depending on how fast you're going, being able to switch the mood like that.
Yeah, well, I'm a totally metal man, but I'm an old man in that kind. I got a lot of my records are from the mid '70s. So I mean, Deep Purple made in Japan. I mean, come on, that's a classical one.
Oh, very much so.
The Mountain album with Leslie West, the Double Live, Twin Peaks, unbelievable. But then you have to drive for a long time, so it's like every song is like 15 minutes long.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I love so much about 70s music, is the experimentation that was going on at the time, and really evolving the heavier sound too, even if it's just in the more classic rock and hard rock fields. Just showing that experimentation, making everything heavier, a little bit faster, and still keeping a really cool edge to it.
Yeah, I think it works fine.
Oh, very much so. Well, I'm assuming that you have another interview in a couple minutes.
Oh yeah, there was another guy from Germany that miscalculated his watch. He will be. I have to call him up in like 2 or 5 minutes or something.
Ah, sure. So I'll let you go and be able to get that one on track. I know it's been a little hectic today, but thank you once again for being able to do this interview. It has been a tremendous honor to be able to talk to someone from one of my favorite all-time bands. And before we go, is there anything else that you would like to mention that I haven't brought up yet?
Yeah, Josh, I hope I'll see you in Vegas.
I definitely want to try to make it out, and I hope it does happen, because I have yet to have the chance to see you guys live, and I hope I can make it out.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Then we can go to the casino afterwards.
Oh, that sounds perfect.